everybody. Jeff Osuji here, CEO of Eventnoire. We're here with a business titan, leader, and legacy builder, Mr. Charles Johnson, president of SodexoMagic, one of the fastest growing food service facility businesses in the country, co-founded by Magic Johnson. Charles, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Man, thank you for having me.
Man, thank you, brother. Welcome to the Art of the Party podcast, man.
Oh, man. It is a true pleasure to be here, man.
Appreciate you, man. So, as you guys know, Art of the Party is all about people who move people, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you're a business leader, also someone that's award-winning leader. You've won a Chicago Culture Board Award last year. Congrats on that.
I appreciate that.
I wanted to start from the beginning, right? You're a Chicago public school educated brother, South Side of Chicago, right? South Side's finest?
Oh, for sure,
Talk to us about your upbringing, because leaders aren't just born. I believe that they're really cultivated and nourished from as like a seed, right? That's watered by their community. Talk to me about your upbringing, though.
Man, it's good. Before I do that, I just want to say thank you, man. I'm proud of everything that you and your team is doing, and it's truly a pleasure to come on here and share. With that, when I start thinking about like legacy and how I grew up, it's you have to start from the beginning. I grew up on the South Side, 64th and May. So I'm an Inglewood boy. Okay. I love the entire city, but I have a special love and place in my heart for the community that I grew up in, which is Inglewood. After grade school, I went to my first 2 years. I went to Percy L. Julian High School, and I chose that high school coming out of my neighborhood because a lot of my cousins, they lived out in the hundreds, and so all of them were at Julian. My sister at the time was at Whitney Young, so she was like the super bright one out of the two of us, and I chose Julian. Interesting enough, I got there, and one day I'm coming home, and my mother, she would always say to me, she's like, "How is it that I got one kid at Whitney Young, and I got another kid at Julian, and you walk different, talk different, dress different, and you raised in the same house?" Now, my sister, she was the type that was very studious. She stayed in, so she didn't go out and hang out. Like a boy is a boy, and she was more of an introvert, and I hung out with my peers. And so the culture of where I hung sort of shaped my behavior. Long story short, got into an altercation at Julian, and my family members came up to the school. It resulted in I would say, a situation that didn't make my family proud. The entire group of young men that was involved in the altercation was asked to leave, meaning I was expelled from the school, or suggested that I shouldn't come back. My parents didn't really have an option for me, and this is where I believe, like the Creator, like for me, like intervened. And I'm not like a religious person, but I'm very highly spiritual, and I believe that there's a higher being that has your best interests when you yield to that. Definitely. And so my sister overheard this conversation, and without any of us knowing, she went to then the principal of the school, African American male principal, and she said, "I'm going to lose my brother to the streets if you don't allow him to come in." And that principal used what we call today principal discretion, and I literally transferred into Whitney Young from Julian halfway through my sophomore year. Wow. And so that was the tipping point for my life, honestly. And so for me, I've seen success even in the neighborhood, that I've come from. And then that competitive spirit is like, and there's something about Chicago folks, not that, and I know that we're on a global platform, and this is not just about Chicago, but Chicago comes with a certain air of blue collar work ethic 100%. That is just ingrained in us. And for me, I always say a part of leadership and a part of success is, who's going to outwork who. 100%. And that stamina for wanting to achieve what you set out to do is really rooted in a part of sort of who I am as a person.
And what I could tell you about yourself, something I noticed again was that humility, despite being such a great leader and doing work at the highest of levels. And I think it's something that you see in a lot of leaders, right? The ability to be able to relate to people. And I do believe that's a part of where we're from, right? In upbringing. I think it's something that's synonymous with coming from Chicago and navigating different personas. But again, somebody has achieved what you've been able to achieve. I commend you on your ability to still connect with folks. And I do, that's something I actually deeply admire?
First of all, I just love people, and I love my people in particular. And I say my people who are in my circle and people who I see, and I'm always rooting for the underdog. The other piece of it is, from a humility standpoint, man, this stuff could be taken from you at any moment.
100%. Yep.
And I always say, if it's taken from me, I want to live a life where I can always go back home. Meaning, where I'm from, I always want to be able to be loved and be respected, and to be able to connect. Yep. Because I've achieved X doesn't mean that I'm not the same person at my core. And so connecting to my people and loving my city, and all aspects of it is what I do. And even when you connect with one another, you know, we talk about the whole idea of what business is. Man, it's really built upon relationship. And having the ability to put yourself in the other person's shoes and lead with a certain level of compassion and with a certain level of respect for the other person. And so for me, that's how I govern myself. So it's not like I separate myself from, you know, Charles, the boy who grew up with Charles, who people expect to be X, Y, and Z because I've achieved, you know, whatever. You know, to me, man, that stuff is fleeting. At the end of the day, man, we're people and we should respect and love one another. And that's how I've operated, and that's how I've always been raised to operate.
I love it. I love it. Now, walk us through your path after Whitney Young, right? One of the best schools in Chicago. You know, how did you get from there to, you know, student transfer from Julian, going to Whitney Young, right, being challenged academically to, you know, what was the next path to become the president of Sodexo?
Yep,
and then you are today.
Yep, from an education standpoint, I went to Tuskegee University, and I was a business major. I did 4 years there, and interesting enough, when I was at Whitney Young, I had what they called an internship. So my senior year, I would leave half the day, and I would go to American Express. Credit card company, and I would be in like this rotation of all the departments, from credit card processing all the way through customer service. And so it was a partnership, a work study partnership between my then high school and American Express. So every year in the summertime, coming from Tuskegee, American Express extended me the opportunity to come back and work. So I always had a place to work in terms of coming home for the summer. And then, interesting enough, when I graduated from Tuskegee, I was reading Black Enterprise, and I looked at the top, you know, BE companies that were located in Chicago, and I sent my resume. At the time, you fax, it wasn't no email or anything like that. It was like, we faxed your resume. I sent it to everybody. So Johnson Publishing, Ultra Sheen, Luster Products. So I knew that coming from the HBCU, I wanted to give my talents to a minority-led company. And so I sent my resume to all of those companies, and I got several callbacks, and ultimately I landed at Luster Products. Oh, wonderful! And so my first job out of Luster Products was with Luster. I went there, and I laughed because the guy, he's still one of my mentors to this day. His name is Jim Campbell. Okay. And Jim, he hired me, but he lowballed me so tough, and he lowballed me so tough, and so. I remember coming out like man, I'm talking about at the time my student loans were more than what, you know, he had offered to pay me, and so I took the job anyway, right? So I took the job.
Shout out to Moni and Risa, by the way, my girls from the Luster family.
Man, shout out to them, their entire family, their aunt Sonia, Jory, their dad, and Freddie Luster. Like I tell people all the time, man, that company put me on.
Love it.
I say that like they put me on. And so the guy that hired me, he lowballed me. And so it was interesting that, so I stayed for about a year, right? And then I get a call from a recruiter who recruits from like Tuskegee and say, hey, I got this opportunity for you with this international steel company. Like, would you be interested? And so I hopped to the steel company, and I left Luster Products. But I would always still come back to their trade shows like Proud Lady and everything in Chicago and volunteer.
I love it.
And then so 2 years into my career in international steel, an opportunity for brand management opened up at Luster Products. Oh, wow. And then I came back.
Nice.
And so I came back as an associate brand manager for
well, a little more pay, I'm assuming this time.
Oh yeah, it was a little bit
right this time.
Well, not only had to negotiate right, I had to go outside and get my weight up. And then, so my market value was a little bit different when I came back, and so it was a phenomenal run. And so I started as associate brand manager, and this is where sort of my age and at that time and the culture began to shift. And so I got there and did some very, very successful activations. So I did the first collaboration with Lady Fubu and Pink Oil Moisturizer, where we co-branded and did a deal with Lady Fubu and Pink Oil Moisturizer, and then this is the one that almost got me to lose my job, but it got me promoted.
What's going on, guys? It's Jeff from Eventnoire, and I want to welcome y'all to the Art of the Party podcast. We're filming season 2. I want to give a salute to my partners over at Pronghorn. They've invested over 30 Black-owned portfolio spirits. If you're looking to sip a little something, make sure you check out their portfolio brands. Everything from Amazoner to Sango Agave to Bayab Gin, 10-to-1 Rum. A number of premium liquors and distilled spirits for us buyers. So check out Pronghorn's events, check out Pronghorn Spirits, check out their products, and make sure you tap in. Peace.
So we were dropping this new product. It was like a 360 style wave pomade.
Oh yeah,
So I launched that product.
Oh wow, okay.
For Luster Products, and
I could never get waves because I wasn't on my brush game, but definitely remember that.
Don't worry about it, I ain't got no hair. But yeah, so I launched that product.
That's
and
dope.
During launching that product, there was a DJ out of New York, DJ K Slay.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And so
rest in peace, K Slay. Yep.
So I did a deal with K Slay where I paid him $5,000 to do these CD drops.
Dope.
Where he would go out and cop that 360 at blah 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 blah. But he made
dope.
mixtapes.
Yeah.
And so I distributed them all through the Northeast.
That's crazy.
And that was part of my budget. But then the CDs got back to the company. And at the time, Sonia Luster got a hold to one of the CDs. And it was like, the
Rap music.
was
It was rap music,
it
right?
was rap music. And she was like, we're associating our brand with this. But at the time, Walmart did like a $6 million buy on the product.
I love it.
And so it was like mixed emotions. It was like, this worked. And so, honestly, my career took off from there, and I was promoted to group brand manager over probably 60-70% of all of the budget and all of the brands that Luster Products.
You leverage the power of culture to be able to drive sales and drive commerce. So we can talk a lot about that.
Yeah, but shout out to the Luster family for giving me the platform and giving me the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And even though some of it they were not necessarily 100% aware of what I was doing, but they gave me the autonomy to lead. And I just want to digress and say this because sometimes it's hard to be something that you've never seen before. And so coming into that building, Luster Products building, I would see people who look like me, who look like my mother, who look like my father, shirt and tie, sitting at a long mahogany, a table in a fishbowl glass room, making decisions over millions. And so to me, that gave me the fuel at seeing it and say, one, this can happen. You can do this legitimately. You can have all of the success. And I always tell Jory all the time when I see him, saw him about a year ago, that the things that I saw his family do, seeing him, I knew that I could have it for myself as well.
I love it.
And so that was very instrumental in my shaping of me as a businessman early. And I was able to touch everything. And then from there, I ended up being recruited to Sodexo, the company that we're in partnership with. And
Directly from Luster's?
Directly from Luster.
Okay.
Yeah, they recruited me there. At the time, I had been in Luster for 4.5, 5 years, and I felt like I had capped out, and I wanted a bigger challenge.
Yep.
And while I wasn't looking for that bigger challenge, it came my way.
Yep.
And if I can just kind of share this little short story, I know we got a short time.
No, we got time.
I think that
we got time, brother.
I think they're learning lessons in all of this, like tipping points. So I was at Luster Products, and I get a call from a company called Wella. They're a German-based, basically like a general market personal care company. And as you know, there was a lot of consolidation that happened with African American ethnic brands being purchased by large global and being acquired. So this is around that same time. So I get a call from Wella, and Wella had just purchased Johnson Products, another
Haircut company.
another ethnic haircut company. So Wella was trying to, this conglomerate was trying to consolidate and buy all of the companies. Now, at the time, I wasn't looking through that lens, but in hindsight, I know what was happening. So they called me and, they ended up asking me if I was interested in coming out for an interview. And I remember saying, like, man, I'm comfortable where I am. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to make a jump and go to another personal care company. And my father, he said, man, you don't have to. I went to him for advice. He said, you don't have to take the job, but always go out there and see what they say.
Oh, yeah, talk to them.
It's like, go talk to them. So I fly out, and in the room, there was another brother who came over as part of the Johnson acquisition. Mm-hmm. And so they offered me at that time, I remember them saying, we want to bring you in, and we want the two of you to lead up our entire ethnic division in our acquisitions. And I sat in the room at the time. I was 20, I was 25 at the time, 26. And he said to me, this is not a negotiation. Whatever Luster Products is paying you, we'll pay you 2.5 times that amount.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
So I'm 25 years old. Like, first of all, like, I didn't even, I'm blown back by his style of what he called not negotiations, but his level of being direct. So he said, we're going to start at 2.5 times whatever you paying you. And so you can show me what they're paying you, and we're going to start negotiation at that. And I was like, I said in my mind, like, I'm blown away. And so I remember them saying, well, here's what your responsibility is. You know, they flew me in and they had a car for me and they took me back to the airport and they said, hey, think about it. And I said, well, would you put the offer in writing? And so they put the offer in writing and they sent it to me. And the next day I'm looking at it and I'm saying, now this is before I went to Sodexo. So I had to bounce back for a second how I got to Sodexo. So I looked at it and I was like, wow, like my first came to mind was like, if I'm worth this much to them, why am I not being paid this today?
Yep.
And so I'm 25 at the time. And of course, you know, coming from where I'm coming from, you know, I got big problems to solve. So I'm trying to not only, you know, chase legacy and do great work, but I'm trying to, you know, advance my family and my agenda. And I ultimately went to my supervisor or my boss at Luster Products, and I reported to a VP that then reported to Jory. And so I went to her and I said, you know, I think I'm going to have to pursue this. And she said, well, how much are they going to pay you? And I showed her the offer letter. Yep. And she said to me, well, you have to take it because it's more than what I'm paid.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm blown away. And so I accepted the job without talking to Jory. Jory was in South Africa opening an aerosol plant at the time. And then he came back and got wind that I resigned. And he called me in. This is one of the biggest lessons that I ever learned at 25. I'm in his office, and he says to me, oh, I hear you're going to resign. Did you not even give us an opportunity to counter? Yeah. And now the rumor about Jory was two things. It was like mafia style. It was like, you leave his company, you don't come back. And
see, that's him.
Right. Right. And the other one was, well, that was the rumor. Like, if you leave, you ain't coming back. The other one was, about him was that, you know, if you put something on the table, that he's really not going to counter. And so I went into the conversation
based on what you heard,
based upon what I was been told that you would never give me something. And so,
not knowing that you were an exception.
No, well, I didn't know my value then. Now, of course, I learned from that at 25, and I've never made this mistake since. Yep. And so he says to me, he says, I like to have an opportunity to counter that. And he was open. He said, well, I'm not going to pay you that because that defies my entire pay scale, but I want to counter. And I was shocked at the fact that he countered. He ended up countering, and I said to him, if you're giving me this money right now, why haven't you given me this money all along?
Fair question.
And I said, I don't want to walk around here and stay and then have you treat me a certain way because you gave me this money under duress. And he said, I remember what he said to me, like, it was the coldest line in the book. He said, first off, like, you don't have my kids for ransom, so I'm not doing this under duress. And he said, second, my father taught me not to pay 25 cents for something that I can get for a dime until I have to. And he said, it's about paying when you have to, not overpaying. And he said, now I have to, and this is not under duress. This is business for me. And so he gave me enough to stay.
Love it.
Now, I end up staying for a year and a half after that conversation at that new established salary.
Yep.
Fast forward, I get this phone call from this guy, and it ended up saying, hey, are you interested in coming to a company, at Sodexo or whatever, when I had that interview? So I said, how did you get my information? And he says, I was the brother that was in the room when you turned down the offer
from Wella.
From Wella.
Oh, wow. That was
And
dope.
so he said, I had never seen anybody operate that way. And I said, well, what was it that stuck with you? And what I ended up having to do was to call Wella back and say, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
And the guy says, that little company will never outbid us, and you'll come and work for me eventually. And I said, well, it's my job to run your value up. So if you buy luster, I work for you. But until then, I'm working for them. That stuck with him. And so he said, I want you to come and lead with me over at Sodexo.
That's crazy.
And so we started a division called Emerging Markets. I come to Sodexo. I'm working there a year and a half, and I'm looking around and I'm saying, great company, but doesn't necessarily have everything under the hood that it needs for me to do what the division intended for me to do. And so I was really, out of frustration and desperation, created what we call now as SodexoMagic. And I was on a plane one day reading Black Enterprise, again, the same publication that I had applied for all the jobs. I'm looking at BE, and there's a write-up on Irvin Johnson. I didn't even know Magic. Of course, I knew him as being the Hall of Famer, but that article really gave me an in-depth picture into his portfolio. Yeah. And I said, I want to be in business with him.
It's crazy. So I'll tell you, my pops went to college with him, Michigan State. So
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I remember reading the Michigan State yearbooks and then seeing him. It was their championship season. And my aunt went to high school with him as well.
Oh, so she's from Lansing.
Yeah, we went from East Lansing to Chicago. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a connection there. 100%. And so I'm blown away. And so I said, I want to be in business with him. And fast forward, I write a white paper in preparation for what type of business that we can start. I didn't have an enroll into him. At the time, I took my white paper to my then VP, and I said, hey, man, here's what I'm looking at doing. I want to do a strategic partnership, and I want to do a raise and do a joint venture between Magic and Sodexo, and I think that this is an opportunity. Now, this predates all of the DE&I diversity. This goes back to 2005. Like, all that stuff wasn't as a hotbed as it is today. We ended up, he ended up reading my white paper and was like, man, get back to work. We ain't doing that. And then I'm like, man, this is a good idea. I'm like, this is worth me like leaving this or losing this job for. So I went above his head and went to a SVP in the company, and he said, well, what did Curtis say? And he said, yeah. I said, well, he said, go back to work. And he said, well, that's probably what you should do. And so I'm in DC. Shout out to the party. I'm at Howard University homecoming. Oh yeah. I had one too many drinks, and I was like, I'll pay somebody to hook me up with Magic Johnson. And then there's a guy who hooked me up with them, and we connected. I flew out. I pitched Mr. Johnson on this piece of business, and it was a cold
Take a step back. So you were at a party.
I was Howard University.
Our first episode was for this season was on Howard's homecoming. So Josh was up here talking about it.
That was the birthplace for the relationship that started.
I love
and
it.
That's just the irony of it. And it was funny. Like, when I was at Howard homecoming for that homecoming, like, back then you would see, Pharrell like taking a taxi to homecoming, like hopping out of a cab, like the Pharrell. You would see the who's who. It was just an amazing time and an amazing energy, probably which contributed to, me celebrating the way that I did and having all of the drinks that I had, and that allowed me to have the courage to speak up And so, shout out to Howard University for having one of the dopest homecomings
You
experiences.
never know who you're
ever.
going to meet at an event, guys. You never know. Make sure
And-
you check out Eventnoire.com, find an event.
There you go. Check them out. And I was literally there. And man, so I cold called and I pitched Mr. Johnson on this idea. And he leaned into it. It took me about 12, 14 months to ultimately put together the joint venture. But we created a joint venture that was 51% owned by him, 49% owned by Sodexo. And in creating that, my first year, we did about 42 million in sales. By my third year, we was up to 100 million. And then Mr. Johnson said to me, how about you come over and you leave the SodexoMagic side, or not exclusively work on SodexoMagic side, and do some other business with the firm. And so then we got into charter school management, airport concessions, and a whole bunch of other stuff together.
I love it.
Around 2010, 2011, I always tell people I had a situation where, man, I was just like literally burnt. And I caught myself having at least solved the money problem because I was making more money than anybody I knew.
Yeah.
And I not as a measurement of success being the money, because that just wasn't enough for me. I woke up one day and I decided that I wanted to come back home and do something a little bit more impactful, and I just wanted to plant a seeds in my community. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but it was like in me to do something different. And so fast forward the years 2010, going into 2011, I get a phone call from a good friend of mine. She says to me, I want you to come to my church because I want Magic to come and speak for Black History Month. And I'm like,
One of a few people trying to put a magic card on you.
no, everybody does. But I'm the type of person, again, because of where I come from, I'm like, I never tell people no over the phone.
Yeah.
I say, all right, let me come to see it.
Yeah.
Because I never know what
I
it
like
could
that.
be or what it can lead to.
That's a good
And so I got family members like, man, can you come? Could he come to a family reunion? I'm like, all right, let me come to the family reunion and see what's happening. But it's like literally, I never like shoot anybody down and say no. I say, let me come and see. And the church was New Life Covenant, Pastor John Hanna.
Yep.
And my friend invited me. I came, and on the first day, I'm walking up, man. This is when he used to be at the UIC Forum. And man, it looked like a Million Family March, man. It's like, like who are all these folks and where they going, these young folks? And again, not growing up in church or anything like that. I came in and I told her, I'm like, yo, I told her before I got there, I said, hey, not knowing the setup, I said, don't set me in front because I'm not going to stay for the whole service. I'm just coming in. I ended up sitting in the balcony, man, and I never left.
Great church.
I joined that first day. And when I joined that first day, I made a donation. Pastor Hannah basically circled back to my friend and said, did the guy who worked for Magic join church on Sunday? And he was like, she was like, yeah. He's like, well, can you bring him to me? And I went, I saw his master plan for what he wanted to do in terms of transferring community. And I said, man, this is God calling me to segue, to take a break from corporate and do something different. Long story short, within a couple weeks or about a month into like serving, he would call and ask me questions about contracts and so forth. And I would give him answers. And then one day I went to his office, we went out to dinner, and he said, man, would you leave Magic and come help me build community? And that's what I call myself taking a corporate sabbatical. I left, and I left the company that I had started with Mr. Johnson in 2010, 2011. And I went into to run a large non-for-profit. And I segued out. I didn't know what I was doing other than being obedient. I knew that
And let me stop you before you get to like making that transition. One, what are some of the keys to building community? Because it's clearly something he saw in you that said, hey, I want you to come over and build community. But what are some of your keys to building community for those who are our community builders?
Yeah, so one thing is a couple things. One, politics and economics determine who gets what all the time. And so I've never seen a strong community that didn't have a strong school in it. I've never seen a strong community that did not have an economic catalyst for people to go to work.
Yeah.
I've never seen a strong community that was dangerous, that was infested with drug or gang activity.
Yeah.
I'd never seen a strong community or a group of people collectively that didn't have a sense of spirituality.
Definitely.
So for me, in the mix, I'd never seen a strong community that didn't have good healthcare structure to it.
Yeah.
I've never seen one that didn't have a good housing stock. Those are all the things to me that drives and create a rich community.
A lot of it has to do with food, with you being working for a food company.
And it has a lot to do with access to healthcare and what you consume in terms of food. And so it wasn't about church for me going to collaborate and serve with New Life Covenant. It was really about community building. Pastor Hannah said to me, it's like, why don't we build something in the community? Because why do our people have to go all the way downtown to experience something nice?
Yeah.
And so for me, that sparked a curiosity because I was all about not only doing well, but leaving a legacy. And one of the things that came to my mind is that if it's not going to matter 100 years from now, when we're all gone, then it's probably light work. So I wanted to do something that was going to be memorable. And so I took that sabbatical. I went to.
How long was the sabbatical for?
Ended up I thought it was going to take me 3 years. It ended up taking me 8.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I served for like 8 years. Like when I literally say that is, I left all of the corporate comforts, all of the compensation that traditionally comes along with being an executive. I went from like being with Mr. Johnson, flying. I laugh all the time, but flying with him on a plane to like boarding group C on Southwest. And literally that, and working in ministry. And so I did that, and what we ended up doing was all the things that we dreamed about, and still are. The ministry still is doing that. And so we built a 3,850 seater auditorium on the south side over in Grand Crossing community.
Yeah.
We've affected housing. We've launched a school rooted in the arts. So we're bringing a behavioral health and acute care center to the community.
So you'll be in the same building or somewhere else?
All in the footprint from Cottage Grove to Stony Island.
That's amazing.
And so because of that sacrifice, I took that organization from 10 employees to 116 employees, from $2 million a year in income to a valuation at about $90 million ministry. And all of that came because, one, a dedication to community, 2, an understanding of business, and then 3, just a rich belief system in what we talked about today, legacy building. And then so fast forward.
I got to stop you there again because I think people want to hear this. Community course is at the core of what you're doing, but you've also been able to be a successful businessman, learn how to scale businesses, right? Yep. Talk to us about some of the things that you did and also some of the principles that you implemented to be able to scale those businesses from $42 million the first year to, I think SodexoMagic is now doing over $900 million, right? But also even from a church to community.
So I like to oversimplify the process of success when it comes to business. There are 3 big buckets: leadership, processes, and finance. And like one, it all starts with good leadership.
Yeah.
And now when you can have a good handle on all 3 of those levers, then man, you batting 1,000. But it starts with great leadership. Yep. Great leadership that's rooted in purpose. Great leadership that understands the importance of systems, scale, and processes. I tell folks all the time, like you gotta be able to document what you do and replicate that 100 times over. Not just a lot of times you can be lucky on a deal, or you can be lucky in a business, but I haven't seen one business scale and be replicated without having strong processes. I've never seen.
Biggest thing I've learned in business right now the past 2 years is how important process and systems are.
How process and systems are. Like if you don't have systems, then you don't have anything. And the first lever is if you don't have great leadership that create those systems, that then oversee those systems, you don't have anything. And people say, oh, well, how do you make money? How's the monkey? No, money will follow great leaders and great systems. It will attract great leaders and great systems. You look at a modern day brand, just deviate for a minute. It's like like people think like, why is Chick-fil-A successful? Like, yeah, the product is good, but their systems are world class.
McDonald's, same thing. Yeah.
A McDonald's hamburger, is McDonald's hamburger the best hamburger on the planet? Arguably no, but their systems, their processes around procurement, their exactness around labor management, their design of their kitchen and their layout, it's art, science, finance, and it is leadership. And so when you start talking about replicating yourself over, one, it starts with great leadership. Two, it starts with the idea of having and designing great systems, and then being a good steward of the finances.
Yeah.
Finances will follow those two things, great leadership and process. The question is, what do you do with those finances? Do you reinvest back into your product? Do you reinvest back into the communities that make you successful? What do you do with those returns is what really matters. People say, any company, and I say any company, regardless, regardless of industry, when it is absent of great leadership and it's absent of like understanding processes and having great systems, you don't have a business. Like really, I think that is the spine and the backbone. Yeah. That's the spine and backbone. And so why I've been able to sort of have applied knowledge around leadership processes and systems and finance is why I'm able to go from facility and food management to this product or this service. And once you do that, I mean, that's in the scale. I think sometimes we want to fast forward the process of developing leaders. Yeah. We want to skip past the idea and importance of systems.
Process documentation.
We just want to get to the money.
Yeah.
And the money doesn't come before those other two things are perfected.
Yeah.
Like you got to have impeccable leadership with integrity, driven with a rich sense of purpose, and a ton of hard work.
You know, I've scaled 3 businesses that's done over $1 million in revenue, and the toughest part for every business, and still is system documentation, processes, and spending time investing in your people. Yep. Because otherwise, we have what they call key man risk, where you're the only person that can do the job, right? So for everybody out there, if you're building a business, whether you're hosting events, whether you're hosting you run a corporation or startup, leadership, process documentation systems, advice for those, how you were able to navigate documentation, processes, building systems. Was that something, have you always just been somebody that's good at that? What helped you do that?
Yeah, I think failure helped me realize that. Early on, whenever I wasn't successful, it was because I missed a step. Whenever I wasn't successful, it was because I didn't have somebody to delegate to. Problem with delegation is you can't be there all the time. And so when people don't have good systems, they feel like they got to be there. Yep. When you have great systems that are easy to follow, you can you can scale your business, you can teach it, you can transfer that knowledge. Yep. So for me, it was all about, okay, let me do this part. Let me do it. It's not going to be right unless I have this. No, I had to come to learn that it's not going to be right unless I have the systems and I have the documented processes. That's what makes it right, because I can't be there all the time. I can't do every job. And if I can't train you on it, and if I can't reproduce myself over and over and over and over again, how successful will it be if I'm key man doing all of the necessary tasks that make us successful? And I think that's one of the major problems with specifically small businesses and minority businesses, because we haven't seen and haven't been exposed to the level of systems and the importance of team. And the importance of transferring knowledge and the importance of replicating knowledge. And so that's the part that I say is the key. Once you master that part, scale is a function of being able to replicate and duplicate with the same level of quality.
Any tools you feel like people use? I know there's all types of different tools. I always think about, okay, what tech can use for knowledge transfer? I think every CEO has that problem. Is there any tools that you use, or just, rinse, wash, repeat on training and things like that? But are there any tools that have helped you?
No, I think before I get to like a technology tool, I think creating a culture of hard work and sticking to the process.
Oh yeah.
Most companies that fail is because they have a break in culture, or they haven't they haven't from the top all the way down transferred the level of culture and care to what they're trying to accomplish. So even before you get to okay, what platforms are we going to use to share information? What processes are we going to use to generate leads? What platforms are we going to use to manage projects? You have to have a culture of being dedicated and consistent with using those platforms. That is cultural. Like, nope, we're not going to do it this way. Everybody that we train is going to be on board this way. Our belief system has to be permeated throughout the organization from the top down.
What's going on, guys? A few reasons to use Eventnoire, the #1 event platform for the culture. Number one, access to over 1 million event lovers looking for amazing events just like yours. Number two, you get paid out faster than all other platforms, leveraging our event partner Stripe. And last but not least, the opportunity to earn commissions for your events. At Eventnoire, everybody eats. So host your next event on our platform.
And it just brings me, just full circle to, I was at Economic Club of Chicago last night, and I listened to the CEO of Lilly, and he's been a CEO of Lilly since 2017. And I encourage anybody to sort of look at his path. And so since he's been there, they've had like 3 or 4 just dynamite breakthrough drugs. Like for a company their size and the size they are, they're up 40% over last year.
Crazy.
Building
Shout out to my girl Lena. She just became CMO there as well. So.
Oh, see, I mean, so I'm using them. They don't even know that I'm using them. But culturally, the company is successful when you look at the history of it, because Lilly is a 150-year-old company. But for 100 years, the company was ran by the family.
Nice.
So they have a rich culture that drives success.
Yeah.
It's not about like what platforms they use or the impact of AI.
It's about the culture.
It's about the culture of creating and being disciplined and consistent about creating breakthrough drugs. And so they just happen to be in the drug business. I'm saying that, or the pharmaceutical, or the medicine business, excuse me. And so it's really about permeating that culture of success throughout your organization. And that starts at the top, and understanding the importance of that.
I love it. Tips from that you've learned from working with Magic Johnson. I read his autobiography growing up, and for me, it's always important for me. I always like to understand who works with the there's always somebody in the front that's considered a leader, right? But all good leaders have good teams. I always like to learn about the leaders behind the people that make it happen, because I know those are people that really do make it happen. But what are some things you've learned working with Magic Johnson, and also things that helped you in terms of even pitching them?
So things that I've learned from I call him Mr. J, is one thing that stands out for me, and it's always sort of been there, but it's reinforced, is hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. And like nobody outworks him. Like really, like his level of work ethic and commitment to his work, his competitive spirit. I've also learned that like purpose doesn't end. So I asked him once before, like what's your number? Clearly he's documented billionaire, so he has enough of that stuff when it comes to money. But I'm like what drives you? And what I learned by being close to him is like purpose doesn't end. Like purpose continues. And so there's always a reason to be better. There's always a problem to solve. There's always a community to enhance. And so I've learned that I'm not in the business of saying, okay, what does the trophy case have to look like? Or what is the number it is that you have to stop? It's really around like what other problem or whatever challenge you're looking to solve. And as long as you do that, and from a spiritual place, like doing that within the will of your creator and being authentically who you're supposed to be, like that doesn't have to stop.
Gotcha. So it's you having gone back, to corporate after being able to build the impact that you wanted, right? And you were already doing well. What's driving you, right? What's not what's your number, but what's your purpose right now, your legacy you want to leave?
Two things. And I'll sort of say this very short story and answer the question. When I was 13 years old, my grandmother sat around the table at Thanksgiving, and she said to us, do you know your great-great-grandfather's name? And I shared this, funny enough, I shared this story with Mr. Harvey, Steve, and he told a story on this. And I was with him in Dubai a couple years ago, and he asked me the same question, like what drives you? And I told him at the time, as I'm telling everyone here, it's like I was 13. My grandmother said, "Do you know who your great great grandfather was?" And of course, I knew his last name because it's a family name, but I couldn't tell you anything about him. And so my grandmother, she's 95 years old. She's still living with me, with us today. She said to me, and she didn't say this in a mean, malicious way. She said this in a thought-provoking way. She said, "You don't know your great-great-grandfather's name because he didn't leave you nothing."
That's huge. That's important. That's important.
She said he didn't leave you nothing. Had he left you something,
You know he was.
you'll know who he was. And so she said, spend the rest of your life making sure that your great-great-grandkids, know who you are.
I love it.
So I got a lot of work to do to ensure that 3 generations deep, like from generation 1 to generation 3, 4, has something, and that I leave them something. And it's just not about material, but it's about what leadership skills I'm going to leave them, what head start I'm going to leave them, what portfolio, of course, that I'm going to leave them, what memory or what legacy that they're going to take, that they don't have to start from zero, about wondering sort of who they are, what they're supposed to be doing, and what the possibilities could be. So one, I'm driven by what I'm going to leave the next generation. And then the second part about it is I believe that it is my duty to replicate myself several times over. So who is the next young man that's coming out of a neighborhood like mine, regardless of where it is, who knows in their heart and their soul that they have something important to do, but need access, that need opportunity. And so for me, I got to be the one to hold the door. So for me, I'm the doorman now. I need to hold the door open for the next generation of leaders. So for me, that's what I'm driven by. I'm driven by leaving something that's for my family that will be here and mean something when I'm no longer here, and then replicating and opening the door and holding the door for somebody who wants to make it.
I love it. You guys heard it here first, man. Community, culture, legacy, success with Mr. Charles Johnson. Charles, what else do you want to leave with the people? How can they get in touch with you? But also, what else do you want to leave with the people before you get out of here?
Oh, wow. How do they get in touch with me? You put me on the spot.
LinkedIn?
I'm LinkedIn.
IG?
I don't even know my IG handle, man. I'm not big on social media, but I am on LinkedIn. Please bing me, drop me a message. I promise to respond back. I'm under Charles Johnson. Make it easy. You can put in Charles Johnson and you put in SodexoMagic. It'll pop right up. So reach me there, please, at any point in time if I can be of any service. The other part that I just want to leave with our folks, and the people who come and party with you, and the people who see you, want to know that what you're doing is 100% necessary, 100%. and that we should celebrate one another's success.
Definitely.
In Chicago and in a lot of other places, it seems like with our folks, man, we all got to be chief. Like if you see somebody doing something great,
bosses, no workers, right?
Like you don't got to compete with Jeff.
No.
He got the platform already. Come work with Jeff. And but I want to say that's vice versa, Jeff. When you see another brother doing something else, let's click up. Let's unify.
Collaboration rules the nation.
Collaborate. Man. Yeah. So let's collaborate. If you don't hear nothing that comes out of my mouth other than let's collaborate more. We don't have to be competitors. Let's be co-petitors. You know what I'm saying? Let's come together. Let's click up. Let's pull our resources. Yeah. We can do more together than we can.
I gotta remind myself all the time because I'm tired. I'm like, look, I'm looking for more partners. And when I've been able to partner with folks, things have always gone further and bigger. So I 100% agree.
I think we can grow this thing bigger. And then people always ask me, and I'll just say this, like, what's your view on how do you stay in the shadows of these prominent people who you work with and you do and not be known? And I rarely do this type of stuff, but I think it's important to transfer the knowledge now.
100%.
How do you do that? And I always say it's very hard to serve somebody and work for somebody when you want to be them.
100%.
Don't want to be them.
100%.
So I say, man, find the right folks, collaborate, build your teams, build your systems, and you'd be surprised what the universe opens up for you. It really all starts with mastering yourself and then mastering your business, and then mastering your processes. And then when you do that, you know, like-minded people come into the fold. And for us, we're not going to change our communities. We're not going to build our communities unless we understand that, unify, connect with one another, support one another, love one another, and most important, do business with one another.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I heard it here for Charles Johnson, president of SodexoMagic, guys. Thanks so much for being here, Charles. Appreciate you. You guys are tuned into the Art of the Party podcast for people who move people. So make sure you check us out. And if you're going to an event or hosting an event, make sure you check out Eventnoire.com. Shout out to our partners at Pronghorn. And to everybody tuning in. See you soon. Peace.
Thank you.